Hello everybody and welcome back to another screencast of Total OS Today. This is part 2 of a 3-part series of the complete Linux Mint install guide tutorial designed for Windows users who would like to try a Linux operating system, in this case Linux Mint 10 Julia GNOME or GNOME edition, and how to safely install it alongside your Windows operating system. Like I said, this is part 2 of a 3-part series. If you haven't already, please take a look at part 1. Very important. That is the pre-install checklist. But if you haven't already, I will do a quick review here of what you will need. So this will be rather long, so let's get started. You will need a piece of free software called WinMD5 Free. Download and install it. You will need a piece of another free software, Infra Recorder. Download and install it. The next free software is uTorrent. Download and install it. And then finally, from linuxmint.com, of course, the Linux Mint 10 Julia DVD. In my case, it was 64-bit. If you're not sure what your computer is, 32 or 64-bit, just download the 32-bit edition. It should work in both just fine. So, here at linuxmint.com, you would click the appropriate edition, and you want, for the purpose of this demonstration, Linux Mint 10 Julia GNOME edition DVD. At the bottom it says torrent. Click that and download the ISO, the operating system itself. Save the file. Now, after it has been downloaded, you will have to check and see to make sure that the file, the download, is not corrupted. So how do you do that? Well, you will open up WinMD5 Free and drop in the ISO file you downloaded here at the top, drop box, here the drop bar if you'd like to call it, and it will give you a checksum value. If you don't know what a checksum value is, it's not really important. Just bear in mind that this process itself is very important. There are a set of numbers here. These sets of numbers have to match what is on the Linux Mint website. I will copy, right-click copy, and then I will paste it here. Click verify, and of course in my case, since I already did this, it matches. But let's say they did not match. Do not install it. What that would mean is that somehow the download, the file, the ISO file, has gotten corrupted. Now, if you still choose to continue, you can probably install it successfully, maybe, but you may not run it successfully. It might be extremely buggy. So, once again, verify what you have downloaded with this free piece of software, WinMD5 Free. Make sure these two numbers match. If they don't match, you should re-download it again and check it again. Okay, enough of that. So we've checked it, everything is fine. Next, we will go to Infra Recorder. Go to Actions, click that, Burn Image. Find out where your download is. In my case, I saved it onto my desktop. Highlight that, open, and of course I don't have a blank disk installed, but if I did, it would read it, and right here you would click OK at the bottom to begin the writing or the burning process. Make sure Session at Once is highlighted. The speed you can choose. I always choose maximum. If you're running into errors, choose a little bit slower speed. Highlight eject or click eject, buffer, pad, and close the disk. After writing, click OK. When the disk is done writing or burning the software, it will automatically eject to let you know that it is done. If it comes up with some kind of an error message, disk burning unsuccessful, try another disk. Make sure the disk is not damaged, scratched, stuff like that. Now, from From here, I would just click cancel because I have already burned a disk. So let me get out of this. So there are several ways of doing this. I will show you inside what's called a virtual box or a virtual machine. When you first pop in your Linux CD, by the way, you will have to reboot, pop in your Linux DVD, reboot, okay, and make sure that the BIOS, your machine, your computer is set to read off your DVD drive first. It's different with many computers. In my case, I would reboot and tap enter. Other computers, it might be escape, F2, F8, F10, F12. It varies from computer to computer. I'm sorry, that's probably not very helpful. I can't quite pinpoint it, but you will have to experiment. If you have the computer or the book that came with it, it should be in the book. If you're not sure, look up your computer at the corresponding website. For example, if you have an HP computer 1234XYZ, go to hp.com, search that computer model number, and it should give you some information somewhere of how to reboot into the BIOS to set it so that it will read from the CD first. Once you do that, just click Try Linux Mint 10 and you will come to this screen here. We will double click Install Linux Mint 10. Just had a nice chocolate bar snack. But that's okay because I have some mouthwash, mint mouthwash. And do you know what kind of mouthwash it is? Well, a Linux Mint mouthwash, of course. Okay, I'm just being silly. Okay, this is the install screen. Of course, in my case, I will click English, click forward. And it says here, for best results, make sure you have at least 2.6 gigabytes of drive space plugged into a power source, and make sure you are connected to the internet. If you are using a laptop, do not run it off the battery. Plug it into your AC power supply. Click forward. Okay, now, in my situation here, I have two choices: erase and use the entire disk, or specify partitions manually. Never, never, ever, ever use specify partitions manually unless you are 100% sure you know what you are doing. 90% sure, in my case, sometimes just isn't good enough. So, in this case here, I have two choices. If I was doing this on my own and not doing a screencast tutorial, I would just click erase and use the entire disk. However, when you do this, you will have a different option that would look something like this. So let me click this here and let me show you what we have. Okay, you will come to a screen that looks like this. Now, I have already installed this alongside Windows 7, so I can't obviously install it again. So I'm showing you some screenshots. When you install it, you will come to a screen like this: allocate drive space. You will choose install alongside other operating systems. Unless, of course, you want to delete your Windows operating system and use exclusively Linux Mint 10. If that's your choice, that's perfectly safe. Otherwise, to keep what you have, you will click Install alongside other operating systems. Just a word of caution: back up anything important that you have on your Windows side, just in case something goes wrong. This should be 99% safe, but you just never know. After you do that, you will come to a screen like this. The left side should be your Windows operating system. The right side should be Linux Mint. If you click here in the middle with these double arrows, this is a slider. You can slide this left and right. The more you slide to the right, or to the left, sorry, the more you allot, the more you give Linux Mint a greater slice of the hard drive. The more you slide to the right, the less. It's up to you how much you want to give. I would say give it at least 20 gigabytes just to be safe. And finally, after you follow the instructions to install, which I will go through after this slideshow here, you will reboot and come to a screen like this. The top should show Linux Mint 10. The bottom is Windows 7. You would just use the arrow keys, scroll down to Windows 7, enter, and you will boot into Windows 7. If you don't want to do that, Linux Mint is top on the list, and it will boot into Linux Mint 10 after a few seconds. So once again, you will choose the install alongside other operating systems. Okay, let me get out of this and get back to our installation. Click forward. Now you see here, since I'm doing a fresh install inside my virtual machine, it's not showing Windows 7, which is normal. But in your case, once again, it would have, this would be somewhat split, not quite half and half, but it would show Windows on the left and Linux Mint on the right, and you would slide this from here, I would say, to the left and give Linux Mint a piece of the hard drive. Okay, install now. Okay, so New York is fine. Click forward. Now I think for this demonstration I'll just disconnect my internet access because I really don't need it. In your case, definitely keep the internet up because after you install this you will have to run an update. Very important. Okay, USA for me, forward. Okay, you would type your name. In my case, I will type in my YouTube channel name, Toss Today, and I'll leave it as Toss Today for my name and my computer's name. Username, Toss Today also. Oh, make sure you highlight, well, I guess that's up to you. You can require a password to log in or log in automatically. I never use encrypt my home folder option. So for password for this situation, I'll just type in 333, 333, and of course, if you look at this, it says your password is too short, meaning it's not very secretive. But for this demonstration, I will leave it as is. Click forward. You see here at the bottom, copying files. Welcome to Linux Mint. This is basically a install slideshow presentation, which I think is pretty nice if you are new from Windows coming to Linux. And it says welcome and thank you for choosing Linux Mint. Now, by the way, when you are installing this on your own computer, you will have a full screen. Just want to let you know. This is just the virtual machine that I'm using here in half screen, just to let you know that it is safe. If you wanted to try and install it in a virtual machine, it is safe to install it. And in my case, I'm using this with Windows 7. Okay, browse the web. Firefox is installed by default. By the way, if something happens and you mess it up, or it messes up, or something happens and you don't have a backup copy of Windows XP or Windows 7, don't panic. There is a way to get back into the Windows 7 partition and delete Linux Mint. I will show you that sometime in the future. So If something happens, it shouldn't. This is, like I said, this is 99% safe to use, but you just never know. So if something screws up, don't worry, I will show you how to fix that. You basically, what you need to do is call 911. Then the plumber comes over with his wrench. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, just kidding. Gotta have some fun doing these videos. I should say, I do have fun. I like to have extra fun. Okay, Linux to music and CDs. I kind of like how that sounds. Linux to rather than Linux listen to music and CDs. It's late here. It's almost 11 at night. Listen to music and CDs. Enjoy your music with Rhythmbox. Plug in your MP3 player, extract songs from audio CDs, listen to podcasts and online radios, mate. Okay, almost finished copying files. Watch videos and DVDs with VLC. VLC is a media player which is also for Windows and it works terrifically. Almost finished copying files. I use um, I use Windows XP, Windows 7. Oh, I use Zorin. I use Linux Mint 10, and I just now am experimenting with Ubuntu 12, no, not 12, 11.04 NETI Narwhal with the Unity desktop. Now, if you are new to this, that probably means absolutely nothing to you about Ubuntu, and you might be saying, what the hell is Ubuntu? Well, Ubuntu is the 11th planet in the solar system. No, it's not. Just being silly. Manage your photos with F-Spot or Picasa. I like Picasa, which that software, it's Google Picasa, is available for both Linux and Windows. Okay, normally it would install language packs from the internet, but I disconnected my internet access, so it should bypass that. Alright, stay connected. Keep in touch with Thunderbird, Pigeon, GWeber, XChat, chatting communication services. If you ever get stuck with something or are not sure, you can always come back and replay these videos, of course. You can go to Linux Mint 10. There are forums. The community is terrific. There were a few things I wasn't sure what to do. Went to the forums, found the answer. And by the way, there is a very useful Linux Mint user guide that you can download for free. I believe it is a PDF file from linuxmint.com. And they also have a terrific weekly, bi-weekly or so podcast called Mintcast. And what's nice about that podcast is that you don't have to be a geek or a computer scientist in most cases to understand what they are talking about. But that is the only Linux podcast that I listen to. All right, this shouldn't be too much longer. Be productive, openoffice.org. There is something to replace OpenOffice. That would be LibreOffice, which just downloaded it a few days ago. It seems to run a little bit faster. We'll be taking a look at that sometime in the future. A screenshot here of the software manager. Browse through 30,000 free applications from the software manager. That's right, many, many thousands of free software available. And if you wanted to, you can run the Windows software with an application called Wine. Or if you wanted to run it, you can run your Windows software with what I'm using here, a virtual machine, VirtualBox. You can customize your desktop with desktop settings and keeping your system up to date using the Update Manager, very important. Find Help, Introduction to Linux Mint. And back to the Linux Mint. I think what I will do here is pause the video and I'll be back. We are done, so you can't continue testing it, but I will click Restart Now. Okay, my DVD, my Linux Mint DVD just ejected. So it says press enter to continue. Restarting. Put my DVD back in my case. Well, this would be your default Linux Mint desktop. It has a nice welcome box here. Welcome to Linux Mint 10, release 10 Julia. And in this situation, I actually installed the GNOME 32-bit. I thought I had the 64. I didn't have it labeled, but it doesn't really matter. You can install 32-bit in a 32-bit machine or 64-bit. And here you have documentation, support, project, and community. Alright, this video has run a little bit longer than I would have liked to, so I think I will end it here. You can just click close here to close this, and this is your default desktop for Linux Mint. Now in part 3 we will actually go through some examples, exercises in the Linux Mint 10 desktop environment. So your machine, when you are done, should look like this. Of course, you'll have the the full screen. You won't have this blue border here. Nothing like this. This is just me running. Oh, I guess you can say a machine inside a machine, or an operating system alongside another operating system using virtualware. But again, your normal desktop environment would look like this. Of course, you can right click, change desktop background like you would in Windows, and then go from there. But we don't have time for this. This will be done. I'll show you this in part 3. Okay, I think that covers it for the installation side of Linux Mint 10 to install it. Like I said, in part 3 we'll look at the whole operating system itself, updates, so how to use the software and stuff like that, shortcuts and so on and so forth. Well, that's it, guys and girls. Thank you for watching part 2 of the complete Linux Mint install guide tutorial. Part 3 is coming up, and as always, I will catch you sometime in the Windows Linux future. Thanks again for watching. Catch you later, guys. Bye.